seeing what is the meaning of Vedanta.
Literally, meaning of Vedanta, Ved means knowledge and Ant means the final knowledge, and that knowledge is given by the God himself from the time immemorial, and it was an oral reception. The first living being Brahma, he was given this knowledge, and then Narada, and then Vyasadeva. All these Vedas are meant for administration of the whole universe. What is spiritual world, what is material world, what are the living entities, what is the goal of all the living entities in material world, what the body is, what is the soul, and all this explanation is detailed given into the Vedanta philosophy. We have been going through the 4 different yugas, you know, the cycles: Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and a Kali Yuga. And in Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, the people's memories were very sharp. You know, they, whatever they hear, they could remember very easy. And that's the reason there was no need to put it in a writing. But at the age of Kali Yuga, you know, when it started about 5,000 years ago, and the sages saw that this age is declining in people's memory, so they thought and they saw that the people are going to need in a writing, and that's why the Vyasadeva, he decided to go ahead and put it in a writing. And there are many supplementary Vedas, you know, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, and finally this Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gita, which was spoken 5,000 years ago by the Lord himself, and it explains our relationship to the God and what is ultimate. And there was a little further explanation by some other sages, maybe Syama, Dasi can say,
Sure.
you know, after Vyasadeva.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, Srila Vyasadeva, as Thakor had told us, 5,000 years ago, he could see by his potency and purity the future of this age. And when he saw that, and he decided to write this down, he also decided to hand this knowledge down to some disciples or some students. And along with that, he also spoke it to his son, Shukadeva Goswami, who was of the same stature. He was also a completely pure devotee from birth because he had been born to Vyasadeva. So Shukadeva Goswami had the opportunity to speak this knowledge to Maharaj Parikshit, who was a great king who was cursed to die in 7 days. And in that 7 days, when he realized that's all he had left, he was searching for absolute knowledge. He was searching, what's the meaning of life? What is my purpose now that I'm going to die? What should I do? And so Shukadeva Goswami then spoke this knowledge that he had heard from his father, Vyasadeva. Now, this gathering is very important because what's the state of every living being? We're all going to die. Somehow in society we like to deny that fact, that death is not going to come upon anyone, and it's almost like pornography in our society, that you can't speak about it. It's the unspoken topic at the dinner table, right? But just like Maharaj Parikshit, we're all set to die. Whether someone lives till they're 90, someone lives till they're 30. You open a newspaper every day. So this knowledge that was spoken by Shukadeva Goswami is not just for ancient sages, but it's for all of us, because we all have this time period, whether it's 7 days or 100 years. So when he spoke this knowledge that what's the duty for you who are going to die in 7 days, it's also applicable to all of us, because we know we have some time period. So at this gathering, when Shukadeva Goswami did speak to Maharaj Parikshit, there was also another great sage there, Sutta Goswami. And now later, in time, Sutta Goswami again spoke this knowledge at the forest of Naimisharanya, where there was a lot of great sages gathering. And they were gathering again because they could see the future of this age, and they were wondering, what can we do to help the age? We see that people are committing crime, and people are not religious people, and to them at that point in time it was unheard of, because in the previous ages everyone lived a very pious life, very moralistic life. So to them, anything out of the ordinary for them was a real shock. So when they saw this, they again spoke this knowledge. And as this knowledge is coming up and being spoken again from teacher to student, and that student would again repeat, and they were only purified souls. This knowledge was then handed down in what we call a disciplic succession. It says, evam parampara praptam evam rajarshayo vadu in the Bhagavad-gita, and that this knowledge is handed down. So as it continues to be handed down from teacher to student, we have been so fortunate that we have received it in this day and age still completely unchanged by this line of purified souls and great sages, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He's translated all this Vedic knowledge and summed it up that, like Thakor was saying, there's so many supplementary Vedas, there's so many books of this knowledge, but what His Divine Grace Prabhupada did was he took the essence of all of the Vedic knowledge and the purpose of all of the knowledge, true knowledge, and he presented it in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad-gita.
He's the one who wrote that book?
He translated.
Translated,
Right.
I see.
Right.
But this books were first written 5,000 years ago.
Written down.
Written
right.
down.
Orally,
but before that, they were
orally it's been spoken from time
for
immemorial.
many
and
yugas.
knowledge, absolute knowledge is not applicable only to one time.
Yeah.
Absolute knowledge is true at any time, any place, and to any people.
See, any religious practice we perform, it has to be understood very scientifically. In Bhagavad-gita, Krishna explained the jnana vijnana sahitam yajagnatva mokshe shasya subhata. That means jnana means knowledge and vijnana. So what is the vijnana? See, most of the dealings we have in this material world is pertaining to the body. There is very little about the soul. What is the soul and what is the characteristic of the soul and what is the need of the soul. See, just like what the Prabhupada gave a nice example, that there is a bird in the cage, and what we are trying to do is just we are painting the cage and not taking care of the soul or a bird. See, and that's the reason we are not finding the true meaning of our life. So that is the reason Krishna is explaining, what is the body, what is the mind, what is the intellect, what is the soul. Higher than the body is the mind. Higher than the mind is the intellect. See, we think in our mind, and with the intellect we make a decision what to do, which path to take, and what is our ultimate goal of life. And then higher than the intellect is the soul. So we see that if there is no soul, there is no value to the intellect, no value to the body, or no value to the mind. So our concentration, special concentration of the Vedanta philosophy is to understand what is the soul and what is our ultimate goal.
So could we call it the science of life or the science of soul?
Science of the soul.
Of
That's
the
the
soul.
science of the soul.
Right.
I see. And in all these so many books, it deals with every detail of the soul.
soul.
Right,
Correct.
of the soul.
And does it also talk about the body at all?
Yes,
It does
because
that.
the body is an instrument for
Okay.
us to
I see.
engage the soul.
Right, and made up of a 5 inferior energy: earth, water, air, fire, air, and ether. And we know that no matter what religious practice we follow, ultimately, if those Christians who believe that they put it in the ground, and the Hindus just cremate it. So we see that there is a very little value to the body, but the important factor is the soul. And very little attention is given to the soul and its need.
And so now you said this, when you said yugas, you mean
Those are
big eras of time, right?
right, they're
Right,
like
right.
ages. Like sometimes people refer to the golden age,
Oh, I
the
see,
silver
right,
age,
yeah.
the copper
So-
age.
And so when you say Kali Yuga, you mean this most recent, the
That's the
last
age we're in right now.
we are in right now.
Mhm.
And,
It started
and when did this age start, according to
5,000 years ago.
5,000 years ago? And
Yeah.
how long is it supposed to last?
432,000 years.
I see. So I see. And these books tell about what is going to happen in this age. Are they prophetic books like?
There's one Purana called the Bhavishya Purana, which is simply the Purana of prophecies
I see.
and of the future. But also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there was predictions of Lord Jesus Christ. There was predictions of Buddha. There were predictions of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya as well.
See how this authority, the Vedanta philosophy, how authentic it is. In the Bhagavatam, the 5,000 years ago, it was already written that Tata Kalo Sampravute Samohai Sordesam Buddho Namranjana Sutta Kikteshu Bhavishyati. Then in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as a Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of dealing those who are envious of the faithful theists. So this book was written 5,000 years ago, and after about 2,500 years, the Buddha, he came. His name was written, his father's name was written, and what province he was going to be. And then at the end of the Kali Yuga, also it is mentioned which incarnation is going to be, and in between there will be a lot of other teaching will go on. At the same time here, in his say, Athaso Yuga Sandhyayam Dasya Prayasu Rajasu Janita Vishnu Yasaso Namnam Kalkir Jagatpati. Thereafter, at the conjunction of the two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasa. At this time, the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunders. See how authentic these Vedic literatures are.
And this is at the end of Kali Yuga?
Right.
In 427,000 years from now.
And spiritually it's going to be more and more decline age, and within the 5,000 years we can see the changes taking place all over the world.
So how can we apply this knowledge to our daily life for our own awakening, for a global awakening? How can we use that? And by the way, these books they have not been translated many times like the Bible, or I know they have been translated one time, but have they been translated by others too?
There have been many translators.
I see.
Many people have translated the Vedic literature.
I hear that there were 600 versions.
Probably over 600. The Bhagavad-gita is one of the most common books. It's like the Bible of the East, but what you have to look at the translator. What is the life of the translator? What is the motivation of the translator? The ancient scripture can only be translated by someone who is unmotivated, engaged in service to God. Otherwise, it is no longer pure. And so that's why we're fortunate that there is the Bhagavad-gita as it is, because the Bhagavad-gita as it is unchanged. It's presented exactly how it was originally spoken, and as it's translated, the original Sanskrit is given, and then it's also translated from Sanskrit to Devanagari, word for word, and then from Devanagari to English. And it has been highly acclaimed from scholars all over, from Harvard to
So if you want to read it, this is what you should get, Bhagavad-gita
right, as it is, because then it is unchanged.
Not changed, okay.
And you also have someone whose life has been devoted to God, to Krishna, and so there's no personal motivation by Srila Prabhupada.
There is one verse